before Connor jumped on, I could see your full screen, Brian, and I noticed is that the Animal Collective Merriweather post?
Yeah.
You have, when did you get that?
The blanket behind me.
Well, I'm assuming it came with the blanket, maybe not. The artwork that you have hanging on the wall.
Yeah. So funny enough, that involves our mutual friend Andy. And I think it was like an early COVID project when we were like, you know, it was his idea. He was just thinking of ways to hang out and do stuff outdoors that were, you know, fun. And so he was like, let's make big. It's one of our favorite albums, and let's make like a big art piece for it. He was like, I'll do one, you do one. So we
that's right. That's right.
Use a projector to like project the image onto a canvas. He made the canvases, and then we painted him over a couple afternoons. And I think his came out better than mine. He put a lot more like glow in the dark glitter paint on his. They came out pretty good. It was a fun project.
Yeah, I totally did know that. I knew the story. I just forgot about it. Like, didn't make the connection. But yeah, actually, Andy is how I know you guys. Before you jumped on, Connor, I was saying that was the last time I saw you. Brian was at probably some party that he was having at his house, and you might have been there. That might have been when I met you, Connor. I don't know. Have you met me before?
I think so, possibly, and it would be
so long ago. Yeah.
It would be something like that, like an Andy Dollar party or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fun story actually that I just because we are on the Animal Collective topic. I seriously injured myself at a concert that I went to with Will Brewster at Animal Collective at Merriweather. This was years ago.
I would have been there. I've been to every Merriweather Animal Collective show.
Okay, so you would have been there. We were in the pit, and you know, basically before the show, we were all at the Columbia Mall parking lot drinking beers, and then went to the show on time, getting the sound. We're so close to it. The concert starts. The joints are lit up. And the Animal Collective experience is so like the lights and the sound and being that close. It was just so and then this combination of substances, I started feeling lightheaded, and I turned back to my buddy, and we were, you know, if you've been to Merriweather, the pit it's like, you know, you're not seated, you're not on the lawn, it's standing room, but there's a back to it. So you could like, if you wanted to lean against a wall, so that's where we were. We were close to the wall, and it was so loud. I was feeling lightheaded. I was like, dude, I need to lean. I was like, I need to lean. And he didn't hear me because it was an Animal Collective concert. So I just lose consciousness.
Oh no.
Then when I come to, I'm like, my leg really hurts. I'm just going to go like sit in the bleachers. Turns out I like totally fucked up my ankle. And then this was when Andy and I were in grad school together. So then I go to class, you know, and I'm on crutches, and people are like, what happened? And I was like, oh, you know, I tripped. I wasn't honest.
At a concert.
Yeah.
Way to put it.
I was inebriated. I'm becoming a licensed professional. Yeah. Anyway.
That would have been like 2010 or 11.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah. A long time ago.
Like the Centipede Hertz tour when they had like the big teeth.
Yes. That was it. It was Centipede Hertz tour. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first Animal Collective concert that I took my now wife to.
Oh, okay.
That was her first time, and my friend Kyle came up. So yeah, that was a memorable one for us too. We didn't, we narrowly avoided injury, but
no injuries for you all. Yeah,
we were probably only like 60 or 80 yards behind you and to the left a little bit if you were in the pit.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I think that tour was also the first time that I saw Animal Collective, but up in Massachusetts at the House of Blues in Boston, and didn't get injured, but I lost my hat. So,
oh no,
was it one of your yellow?
It was one of the yellow beanies. Yeah, it was the one of many. So.
Yeah,
is that when you refer to a yellow beanie? Is that in the photo that's on your Spotify or your website or?
Almost definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like I did meet you, Connor. I feel like you could have been wearing that at the party.
It definitely wasn't this one because again, I've lost maybe 20 or 25 of them. So
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys. So first of all, welcome and thank you for coming on. This is Brian, you reached out last summer. I was in the middle of a beach trip and I was pleasantly surprised to get your voicemail. And you guys have been working on this album. It comes out in May, right?
Yep, May 22nd.
Yeah, and you've released a single, Sisyphus, and we'll get to all that. And I got questions, but first thing I want to ask is just how did you all meet each other, and how long have you been playing music by your, just as such, and then together, wherever you want to start. I want to get to know your backgrounds.
Sure, I'll go. Basically, I grew up playing a little bit of guitar, and then switched to drums when no one else was playing drums and everyone was better at guitar than me. Drums they came a little bit more naturally to me. I've really enjoyed playing drums. I've been in just a bunch of different small projects. This is definitely the most kind of productive or prolific project that I've kind of been in. Yeah, skip ahead to moving to DC. I was in a band with some graduates from UMD, who I'm still good friends with, and a lot of my friends. Andy is actually how I met. That's how I met Andy, is through Hiding Places, was the first band I joined when I moved to DC. And then after that kind of dissolved, I was working at Elephant and Castle, which is like a chain.
Oh, I'm aware.
I don't think it's there anymore. It's definitely not the one that I used to work at is not there anymore in downtown DC. But I met Will Brewster, and he and I, he was still living with his parents at his parents' basement, and so I took my drum set over there, and we started playing together. That just kind of steamrolled into him moving into a band jam space. We picked up Mike on bass. At that time, we were just jamming weekly for fun, and just kind of improvising and recording and hanging out and partying. Nice. And we would play a couple shows, but it wasn't until I was going to get married, about a year out, I was like, I DJ weddings, and I love DJing weddings, but I wanted to do something kind of different. My wife was on board. We were going to do like a camping music festival style weekend, which meant that we needed a band that did more than just smoke weed and play stoner metal in a basement.
By the way, whose idea was this? You said it was your idea, the camping. Was this like a festival? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I mean, in my head, it was like my wife and I had been to a couple of bluegrass festivals, and we've gone to Firefly a couple times. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't like the most traveled or experienced festival person, but I did really like a weekend of camping and music. And I was like, we can shoehorn that into the wedding, and it'll be a little bit different than renting a ballroom and doing a ballroom wedding or something like that, and it maybe even be cheaper and more fun. So at that point I recruited Conor, who had started working at the same restaurant that Will and I were working at, Blue Jacket. We were all working at Blue Jacket at that point. Mm-hmm. Conor was our voice. We needed vocal talent. He came in hot with the Alabama Shakes cover we were working on.
Nice.
He crushed that, and he could play guitar. He played guitar really well. So we were like, awesome, twofer. And then I think Tony, I maybe I don't have it right. Do you remember Tony was after you or before you?
No, Tony was already there. Tony was
already there on keys. Another wedding DJ that I met through DJing weddings. Tony and I hit it off. And
Tony's a wedding DJ too?
Retired. Yeah,
retired. I didn't know that.
He hung up his headphones, but that's how we met, was DJing weddings. And he was best man in my wedding and keys in the band. And so once we had the band kind of filled out, we played the wedding weekend. It was a lot of fun. A bunch of my other friends played. Benny played. Julia Novakowski. I don't know if you know any of these people, but anyway, it was a lot of fun. And we decided, let's keep the band going. We did covers for another year. We just stayed doing covers because it was fun. And then after that, we were like, let's change the name of the band. Let's make originals. And that was in 2017.
Okay, that was in 2017. Yeah. Okay. You have to excuse me. I made a mental note, and I want to geek out here just a little bit. You were talking about jamming weekly and recording. What were you using to record?
Oh gosh, I think probably an H4, probably just an H4
Okay.
room field recorder thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember that we had anything more complicated than that.
That'll do it.
Laptop with an interface or something like that. But we were pretty much load stuff up to SoundCloud. Some of it's still on there. Yeah.
At least by the time I joined, it was still, everything was just on an H4 that was sort of haphazardly just like kind of stuck in the middle of the room somewhere. So
yeah. We spent a good like 30 seconds like arguing about positioning for, you know, which couch to put the H4 on. But
yeah,
never improved sound.
I'm very familiar with the H4. Yeah, so okay. So when did you all, so let me back up here. Conor, the timeline is that the band was already playing but not writing originals before you joined, or were you already writing original music before Conor joined?
As I understand, well, I mean, so Will like, once we decided that we were gonna sort of start writing music, Will was like, yeah, I got songs. And he like had a full like notebook full of like lyric ideas, and he had a bunch of sort of like riffs and stuff like that that he had been sort of keeping in his back pocket. And so so there was some stuff, and Brian had some like lyrical ideas and that kind of thing. So, but I don't think that I can't speak to what they did before I got there, but I don't think they ever like actually tried to like put, you know, stuff together and like release anything before I got there. And we played a bunch of shows under the name the Act Naturals. We used to play at O'Shaughnessy's in Alexandria, in Old Town Alexandria, all the time, and those were like 4-hour sets. Like 4-hour sets in one of the few bars that still allows you to smoke inside, and like those are brutal. But they were a lot of fun. I remember my first, I joined, I want to say like in April or May of 2017, and then we had our first 4-hour show at O'Shaughnessy's by June. So like,
oh wow.
Yeah. So it was very much tossed right in.
Right. Well, let me come back to the question that I asked that Brian answered first, but give me your background, Conor, musically. When did you did you do instruments in elementary school? Like, when did you know that you were like, hey, I'm musical, I'm creative, I want to keep doing this?
Yeah. My first instrument actually was alto saxophone, which I picked up when I was in like 5th grade, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5th grade. And then when I was like 13 or 14 or so, I remember like a friend of mine, Adam Burks, he had a guitar. And so like I was over at his house and I was like, that's cool, I want to know how to do that. And he taught me how to play the song Plush by STP.
Of course.
I was like, and I went home that day and I was like, I need a guitar. And for Christmas that year, my parents got me a guitar, and kind of never looked back since. Awesome. Tried to figure out piano for a little while. I'm still very, very rudimentary on that, but yeah, it's just been guitar and vocals for most of the time I've been doing it.
When did you get interested in keys?
I want to say I started learning keys at some time in high school. My girlfriend at the time had a piano in her house, and I was like, I'm going to be real romantic and learn how to play a song for her and that kind of thing. And I was like, this isn't working, I'm going to go back to guitar. So, yeah.
Okay, I got to ask, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what song did you try to learn to play for her?
It was some sort of Coldplay song, I'm sure.
Okay.
yeah. It's like, it definitely, it was The Scientist by Coldplay.
Okay. But you're the singer. The thing about it, and again, you'll find that I am all over the place. It will be like a pinball machine in this conversation. But the thing I really enjoyed when I listened to your album was all the vocals, all the parts in the new album, of course. And I should have the name of it. What is the name of it? Next Thing I Know, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, all the vocals, background vocals, gang vocals, however you conceptualize them, I'm just a sucker for them. But Conor, you're the lead vocalist, is that right?
I would say so. It definitely, yeah. On the first album, it was a little bit more spread out. We Brian, Tony, Will, and I all had songs on there. This one, it's a lot more me. Brian, you have 2 or 3?
I've got 2 that I sing, and that's it for lead singer for me. Just those 2.
But you're lead singer on the drums. It's not like you're switching like some, because some bands there's a lot of versatility and it's like, hey man, I'll go play drums while you play guitar. You know what I mean? Are you doing lead vocals while you're playing on the kit? Yeah.
So I make sure that whatever drum part and vocal part I'm writing for myself is doable while I'm doing both things. Which is limiting, but also kind of freeing in a way to like, just working within limits is good for me.
Yeah. But kind of coming back to what we were talking about, Conor. So you were fiddling around with the piano. Your girlfriend at the time had a piano and you wanted to learn. But you were singing at that point. So you were learning the song to play and sing.
Yeah. No, I've always been kind of a singer. I never took any like vocal lessons, but like in middle school, there was like the chorus or whatever, like after school program thing that you could join. Mm-hmm. So stuff like that. So I've just kind of always been interested and involved in music and as much as I can. Always really liked singing. Always had a dream of like fronting a band. I was that idiot who was like blasting Green Day in my bedroom and like jumping on the bed like it's a riser or whatever. But,
Hell yeah. I remember as probably a middle schooler, like with my I guess it would have been 8th grade. Maybe actually it was early high school. But either way, like the kind of thing that you're like, I want to. For me, it was also I wanted to be a drummer, and my parents were like, those drum sets look pretty expensive, and like, your friend Aaron plays drums. Why don't you play guitar? I'm like, okay. And then they get me like the little cheapy deepy $200 Epiphone Stratocaster package with like the cord and the little shitty amp. And even that, just like going out on my front porch and just being like, I'm going to play for the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, it's so funny to think back about all that stuff. Just like the identity of, emerging into a musician, but also the fantasy about like, what will the future hold? And it's really cool. I'm always touched, and there's another word that I can't think of right now, but people who stick with it, people who stay with it, they don't, because it's hard, especially transitioning into older life and careers and marriage and kids. And I mean, a lot of that breaks bands up, as I'm sure you were familiar. So it's like one of the questions, and I guess it makes sense to ask it now, is I know Brian's a dad. How many parents are in the band?
Just me.
Just Brian. Okay. And you have one, right. And you've got we already know that your wife was supportive from prior stories that you said. So it makes sense. Yeah. And you need that. You absolutely need that. So let me pivot back over here. Conor, you mentioned how the first album, there were 4 singers, and on this current release, there's just 2. What happened to the other guys that sang songs? How do you explain all that?
That's a kind of an interesting question. I like Will just kind of decided he wanted to take a back seat. I remember like a conversation that we had where he didn't really feel like singing. He didn't want to do that this time around. Mm-hmm. And there was actually one song that he was originally supposed to be singing on. And it's just like, it's very, very shouty and very much at the top of his range. So when we recorded it, we were listening back and we were just like, we can't understand anything that he's saying. Just because it's just like it sounds good live, but it's just like it's so high up there for him that it's just like doesn't translate very well.
Also, it's really dense, like just volume wise, like dense lyrics. Like he packs a lot of words into a very small space. Are you talking about a song that was on the? You guys have 2 albums. This is the second one. This
will be. So you're talking about a song that was on the first album.
There is a song on the first album that is similar. Yeah, we have. I feel like there are kind of two sister songs on the first and second album. Falling Damage and Avatar, I feel like, are kind of sister songs. And Will wrote both of the lyrics. He wrote the lyrics for both of those, and most of the guitar parts for both of those songs too. I would put those as Will songs. And in Will fashion, very dense lyrics, very fast delivery. But yeah, Connor, do you want to tell them what we figured out in the studio? The best option was for that?
Yeah, I mean, so we basically we had to like re-record it a couple different times, and the first thing that we tried was with Will still doing it, but basically he was doing like every other line, because otherwise he was just running out of breath and like legitimately looking like he was about to pass out. And so we tried it that way, but it's, again, like he just made it so dense, and because it was like so many syllables at the very top of his range, it just like did not translate well to the recording. So I ended up re-recording it. So that one kind of just sort of like happened organically because of like what was going on in the studio. As far as Tony, Tony had the one song on the first album, Lips for Tips. And he wrote the lyrics for that one. So, and it was like his story, his song. So like, obviously we wanted him to sing it.
Right.
He didn't come to us with any lyrics this time around. So, it just kind of didn't play that way.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
There was no major decision. There was no conversation. Just like, you guys aren't singing this time,
Right. Yeah.
That's one of the things I think makes our band unique in some regard, is that we really are like really open collaboration, open table. There's not really a front person in the normal sense of someone who's like guiding the whole project. We, at the end of the day, like, we're all best friends. Like, we're all, we play music because it's one of our favorite things to do, to hang out with each other. And so, oftentimes it's maybe the opposite of some bands where they have someone who's like maybe a control freak and like telling everybody what to do. Sometimes we have a hard time like getting started. Like, sometimes it's like pulling teeth of like, someone just throw an idea out. Like, we need lyrics for this song. Like, what are we doing? So, it comes with its own struggles, but it's fun because it's like, it is really collaborative, and there's not a single song on either of our albums that like wasn't written by all five of us.
Yeah, that's cool. I love that. Yeah, and I certainly know what you mean in terms of bands and the chemistry and the dynamics, the drama that can happen in the creative process. And it's funny I'm thinking about it on sort of the spectrum of order and chaos. When you talk about a control freak, there's like, you're pulling towards the order side, and the opposite is chaos, where it's like, but the chaos is like almost like an element of health. You're like, well, if we want to be productive, we do need some more order here,
Right.
But like, it sounds really healthy. Yeah. Let me ask this question about the process. I really appreciate you sending me the tracks of the album, because I've listened to the new album 2 times now, and I also listened, because the first album's on Spotify, I listened through that, and so I've just been very deep in the catalog over the last 24 hours. And I was curious about so just, again, a little technical, but like, what are some of the differences between that release? The first album was released in 5 years ago. Was it 2020 or 2021?
2021, right? Early 2021, I think.
Was it 21 or was it 2020? It might have still been 2020.
Not a big deal, but basically 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm just curious about like the process. Was it DIY? Who did you record with for the first one and the second one?
The first one was very DIY. It was recorded during COVID. So essentially what we did is we would pass the hardware amongst, like, Brian would record his drums for a couple of songs, and then pass it to, like, Will and I were living together at the time. You would pass it to Will and I. We would record our parts like in our bathroom. We would then pass it to Mike, who was recording in an American Legion. And then it would go to Tony, who would record like in his like office at his house. So like we were basically just like passing off like stems to each other. And then we, a friend of a friend, Catchy, we sent everything over to him, and he like did the actual like producing and all that stuff.
So when you say recording, what was the digital audio workspace?
You ready for this?
Yeah, can I guess?
Remember our old friend, the H4?
Oh yeah. Right.
So in order to do my drums, Macs have this really cool thing. You know, people are always like, why do people say Macs are better for sound? Well, the main reason I can think of is you can aggregate audio devices. And it's really easy to do. So we named my basement Dongle City because it is pieced together. Like, we have no piece of gear was like we're using it how it was designed. I had the H4 with the external mic adapter. So I had the 2 room mics and the external mics, and I had 6 mics connected to the H4, all said and done, for my drums. And then I had 2 more through an audio interface that I had aggregated in Mac. And that was the most complicated for my drums, just so I could isolate as much as I could. But for the rest of the process, I just gave everyone, it was an Audient ID4. I forget. It was either or that or the iScarlet, whatever the other one is that Tony had. But like
that's the audio interface. But were you working in Logic, Pro Tools,
GarageBand?
Yeah.
Software wise, I was putting everything together in Ableton.
Oh, Ableton. Okay. And so
really just minimal lining stuff up and exporting out as stems to, you know, send off clean stuff to Packy.
Okay. So, and how and you were recording during COVID, you said?
Yeah. So I looked, and the album came out in 2020. It was released in 2020, but like I think November or December. So it was late. And I think we started this process like, you know, late summer, like August or so. We probably started the process of recording everything. Yeah.
And who did you say mixed it?
So his name is Packy Lundholm, and we know him through our friend Cam, who you might have met at a poker night, maybe.
Yeah, I did meet Cam at Tony's. Yeah.
So Cam knew him from growing up and playing a little bit of music in Chicago, and Packy, I guess, still lives in Chicago. And Packy made music his career and does. I'll name drop a little bit. He toured with who's the Wolfpack guy? No, not
why
can't I think of his name?
Theo?
Theo Katzman. Yeah, he toured with Theo Katzman's band from Wolfpack. And he's, you know, an amazing guitarist, session guitarist, touring guitarist, but he also does mixing, mastering. And so, yeah, Cam mentioned him as a possibility. We reached out to him. He was super cool to work with. You know, we could afford it. Right. That was a big thing. And, you know, obviously it was DIY mostly for budget constraints. If we were made of money, we would have loved to go into a professional studio,
sure,
have everything done like for us. But in the absence of that, we just did it how we could. And luckily Packy was willing to work within our budget. We were super happy with it. And it was cool to see him on stage at 930 Club a few years later playing with Theo. That was like really awesome. We got to hang out a little bit afterward, and yeah, super happy for that dude.
That's cool. Well, okay. So you mentioned the album process of getting made during the pandemic. So what about playing shows? I went on your YouTube and I saw you have 3. You guys get it together with your YouTube. You got 3 videos up there. One of them.
Actually, the second person to tell me that today.
Yeah.
All right. So the universe is speaking loudly. I'm just a vessel. Yeah. So okay, right. But like 3 videos. One of them is you all playing outside. What was it like playing out? Because you're putting all this energy into a product. You know, you're putting your heart. You have all these like songs you want to share them with people. So then, but it's the pandemic. You know, at least in this area. If you were in Perth, Australia, it would have been like nothing, right? But like in this area, it's like. So what was it like touring or booking shows or playing live to promote the album?
So it's actually we really weren't able to. And like what's annoying about it is that like that year before like everything came down with COVID, like we had like 6 or 7 shows, like more shows than we've ever had booked ready to go.
Out of state shows, like
yeah.
out of town shows. Yeah,
And
the momentum was building. Like right going into 2020, we had like the most momentum.
Yeah, and had to cancel everything. So then, I mean, because of that, that's when we like. That's why we like really decided to buckle down and like get the thing recorded and get it released, so that we at least had something to do. And then part of that was why we did the DIY show, like in the parking lot, was so A, we could feel like we were playing a real show again, and B, like our friends could also like have something to do.
Right.
But yeah, but that's really all that we were able to do during those years. Was we really like set our focus on getting it recorded and released.
Right. Makes sense. It's like, well, if we can't get momentum this way, what a fucking bummer. Obviously, you put all your heart and soul into having.
We were the true victims of COVID for sure. We were we
so
paid
much,
the ultimate price.
yeah, there's so much work that goes into that, and you know, and also just to feel that, to be like, oh, we're looking forward to it, and then to have it taken away. I mean, it sucks is a huge understatement, you know. So go ahead, Connor.
I can tell you this other story related to our band and COVID was we were all set to play another show. I don't know if Brian, if we want to name drop the place, but
they don't exist anymore, do they?
I don't think they do anyway. But like one of the videos that is on our YouTube is when we played this place called Renegade, and they like live streamed it. It was like a 3-hour show or something like that. We did 3 or 4 sets, something like that. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And they invited us back to do it again. I got COVID. And it was like the day of that I tested positive. And I'm like, I shit you not, running like a 103-degree fever. Like I've got chills, body aches, the whole nine. Like I've got COVID. And so we like call the dude, the owner, and we're like, hey, we can't play. Our singer has COVID. And he was like, this is so unprofessional. How dare you? Like, COVID's not even real. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What?
So wait, where was Renegade?
Courthouse?
Yeah, like courthouse area.
Okay.
Yeah, Clarendon area. Somewhere around there.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't really know why or how, but like it's not there anymore.
Something else replaced it.
Cool spot. I mean, whatever. They paid well. That was the thing I remember. It was like they paid pretty decent. It sounded good. But like, yeah, whether or not it was COVID, just to like we're sick. I'm sorry. Like we're legitimately sick. We can't make it. We're so sorry. And like, you know, I understand it sucks, but like, it's not like he had sold tickets. It's not like
right.
It's not like a ticketed event. It's like a Tuesday at a bar in Clarendon. It's not but yeah.
I can relate, just to share, to piggyback off of Connor's story about being yelled at by was that the owner or the booker? Like, who was that yelled at you?
It was the owner, actually. Who said that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The owner. Okay, so I have a story to just share with you all, which it's like I don't know about a coming of age, but just like a learning the ropes, basically. Like our buddies in Vinny Vegas, a band out of Baltimore, invited us to play a show at the Red and the Black, or I can't, one of Steve Lambert's venues. It wasn't Rock and Roll Hotel, it was one of the smaller ones, and we didn't know about like load in or whatever. So like the band's playing and we're showing up late, like bringing our gear in, which is a no. Like everyone should load in at the same time, right? But we didn't know, and I mean, it was good that happened to like our friends, as opposed to just some bit. Like our friends didn't care. They're like, yeah, they probably like, why didn't you guys get here earlier? But we just didn't know. Anyway, I got a voicemail from Steve Lambert, just chewing me out and being like, you guys will never play any of my venues ever again. He was like, he wasn't like, I run this town, you're blacklisted and you'll never, he wasn't like that, but he was just like, you'll never play any of my venues again. And then fast forward, I don't know, year maybe later, and we're invited to play a show at the Rock and Roll Hotel, and the headlining act, we middled, and we ended up drawing more than the headlining act. And so then we're like, okay, when can you play? It was all business. It was all like, okay, I can make money off of you. Okay. Like, yeah. Anyway, it was so funny.
Yeah. That was one thing where like, I didn't have any direct. I played one show there. We played one show there as hiding places. I forget what the reason was, but we played one show there, and it was like a local, like we were like one of like 4 or 5 bands. And it was like quick sets, and was chaos, but I remember being fine. I was like pretty unaware of presumably how shitty that guy was until they closed, and I was like, oh man, my wife and I like have really good memories of going to see shows there. Like we even took Desmond, like I wore Desmond to Duran Jones and the Indications when they played Rock and Roll Hotel. But it sucks to find out that like he didn't pay his people and was like a sleaze. And yeah. But I do miss the place itself. But I guess fuck that guy.
So, so to put a point on it, so I want to come back to, so when did you get, okay, you recorded the first album, you were bummed about the tour that had to get canceled. When did you feel like you were gaining momentum again and playing out live with all this, with the catalog of the first album and potentially maybe some new songs that were formatting? How did that all go?
I think, so let's see. Once things started kind of opening back up, we were booking a few shows, but then life started happening. It was my move first. My wife and I decided to move to Richmond. We could not afford a house anywhere close to the DC area. And Richmond made kind of the most sense for us. So I moved to Richmond in 2023. And then Will moved to Philly a year later, basically. So it really spread. That also put a damper on our momentum. And I think, you know, we still do the music festival thing every year. That's YesFest. And
Right.
that's kind of one thing that we'll, as far as I'm concerned, we'll always do. Like even if we don't play a single other show or write new songs or anything, like I would like to think that we'll always play a YesFest set no matter what. But aside from that, we already had, by the time the first album, you know, had been out for a year, we had several more songs. We had been playing together before I moved. We had still been playing together once a week, jamming, writing new songs. So we were well on our way to the second album, you know, by the time Will and I moved. And so they would come down to Richmond sometimes to practice. Eventually, when Will moved to Philly, it makes more sense for us to all meet in DC now. We practice at 7 Drum City. Shout out to them. They've always been really great to us. Seems like a really cool community they're building over there. But yeah, so we meet up in 7 Drum City, and it was like, you know, once again, kind of what can we do? We live so far away. We all have like kind of spread out lives. We're not sure that we can like build momentum playing shows. Let's record an album, but this time let's take our time and like, let's go into a studio. Let's have someone record us professionally. And that kind of became the goal, I think, you know, for the band, like, in lieu of a leader telling us what to do, it's like, well, what's the most important thing for all of us? Like, what do we want to do? And I think all of us agreed it was have a kind of studio experience for recording these new songs. And then it became, let's use that to tour, and let's use that to like plan ahead and play some more shows again and get on the road. So that was kind of the impetus behind it.
Okay, all that makes sense. I'm gonna get a little granular and just double click on the playing to promote. Like while you're spread out, people move, you're still getting together and playing in DC, you're working on the album, but in terms of building audience or touring or booking live shows, how was that going prior to, I mean, the album comes out in May, but how many shows have you all played? Not, you don't have to give me the exact number, but I'm curious how active you are, or what markets. Yeah, I'm just curious about that.
We played like 0 shows, man. Aside from YesFest, got like, when's the last show we played that wasn't like a private event? Like, when's the last public show that we played?
I honestly, I can't even remember.
Public option, maybe, like before I moved.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've played a show that wasn't that was open to the public. Because we've played like siblings' weddings and stuff, and like we've played like private fun, like family stuff and YesFest and stuff like that. But like, no, and that's a huge bummer. Like I don't want to speak for Conor, but I know that's one of his favorite things about being in a band, and obviously it's really important for all of us. But I think, you know, as far as like building audience, we were starting to do that. We were starting to like do that organically, and then kind of lost all that momentum. And you know, I think that's what we're trying to learn from this time around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Conor, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're just sort of that's kind of what I was going to say, is that we're sort of picking that up now. Like that's the process now. But like ever since, like legitimately ever since COVID, the momentum's kind of just been gone. Because as Brian said, like at a certain point, it just made more sense for us to just not even look at doing shows, just like buckle down, get the thing written, focus on YesFest, because that's a guaranteed show that we know we're doing every single year. So like put as much energy into doing that while getting the album ready and doing that stuff. So yeah, now that the album is recorded and ready to go, we're looking into building a bigger audience by putting together hopefully a tour in the next couple of months. Brian's learning a lot more about social media and that sort of thing. So
yeah, I think that's one thing that we really dropped the ball on the first time around. Like if we had done just a little bit of like research and work, like building an Instagram, building like an online presence, like we lost out opening to Viagra Boys. Like I'm never gonna live that down. Like
yeah,
DC9 reached out and they're like, hey, are you guys available? Because we had played a show there recently. And we had a good draw. Like we brought people out because luckily we have a really wide and very gracious friend base who was really supportive and would come to our shows. And so we were pretty much guaranteed like 20 to 40 people anytime we played close to DC or Northern Virginia, which was great. And so DC9 reached out and they're like, hey, this band Viagra Boys is coming to play. Do you guys want to open for them? And we were like, absolutely. Like this was before they played Coachella. And we listened to them and they were like, these guys are insane. Yes, we have to play. And then we got the email back and they're like, oh, sorry, another band has like way more followers than you. So
yeah. Again, the harsh economics of it. And I'm glad you speak to the friend group thing. That happened to my band where we had all this momentum because we had, like I said, we outdrew the headlining act, but that's because of so many friends came out. And there is this evolution of you tour markets. I remember speaking to a buddy of mine, and he gave the advice of like, you know, don't just like book a tour just so that you can say you went on tour, or don't just like visit New York and Chicago just so that you can say, like, you need to, if you want to build an audience, you need to be able to have a realistic and perpetual, persistent, consistent, it's about consistency. And so you have to be able to go back and nurture. It's like watering a garden. You got to, if you're going to go to Chicago, you better have plans to go to Chicago like every 8 months or whatever. Like you need to go back and connect with people. And not only that, but like your friend base that comes to the local shows, they're not going to Chicago. You know what I mean? So you make this shift from like gaining fans and going back, and it's the local shows are friends, but even then, even local, Baltimore, DC, Richmond, like you'd be playing the Camel and it's like some friends are there, but most of them are not your friends. And that kind of transformation and transition is what every band aspires to accomplish. But it's hard. It's absolutely hard. And I can speak to that. Like when we lost momentum and then we worked on an album and kind of came back, and but for us, and I'm not saying this will happen to you, but for us, it was like we felt that in a very palpable way, and we couldn't make the switch to just gaining traction, and we couldn't. Part of it was just like not being able to play live as much. And I'm with Conor. That is the biggest drug. Like I got bit by something like an addict. I got bit as a teenager, and I was like, nothing compares to this. So whatever can give me this feeling, you know, yeah, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Now we've made it, by the way. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I think, I don't know actually where I was going to go with that, but yeah, I think, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we've made it. I purposely did this by design. We've made it 40-ish minutes into the interview, and I have yet to ask the cliche question. If you've done other PR or like radio shows, tell us about the name No Pterodactyls. How did you come up with the name? Right? Like, but I don't know the answer to that. So I confess, I do want to know that, as well as the name of the album. Next thing I know, there's questions I have kind of in the can and waiting. But yeah, tell me a little bit about what were I'm also curious about the alternative band names. Were there any alternative band names that didn't make it?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish we had saved that document that we made.
Gotta be somewhere.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
like so again, when we first like started playing together as like a full unit, we were calling ourselves the Act Naturals, and we were just doing covers. When we decided to make the switch and start playing original music, we wanted to change the name so that it was like a different project. Just felt like new. We all five of us were just throwing names into our group chat for months, like probably a year. Yeah,
it's a year.
Yeah. And none of them were good. They were all ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like hundreds of names that we ran through. And then there was one night that we were at band practice, and we were outside smoking a cigarette, and a few of us had smoked some other things beforehand, and there was some noise off in the distance, some sort of like screech sounding noise, and someone like kind of freaked out and was like, "No, pterodactyls," and we were like, "Yep, that's the name." And so that's the actual story of how the name came to be.
Can I just interrupt for a second? In that story, the person that yelled that out, does that imply a comma?
Like, I always heard it as no pterodactyls, as in like you're like I remember it like as in like it was a reprimand. Like, hey, there's no pterodactyls allowed in here. Like, stop smoking. Right. No pterodactyls.
Yeah,
it was more of like no diving kind of command.
I got you. The way Connor was telling it, I almost heard it as a no comma pterodactyls. But okay, so there's the story, and then that was clear to all of you. You're like, oh yeah, that's it. Our list can go to hell.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't come up with anything better than that in the entire year that we were trying to do so.
Yeah, so, it was the first name that not a single one of us immediately was like, I hate it.
Yeah,
that passed the bar because not a single name had done that before. So we kept it. As far as the album title goes, the second album's definitely a reference to the first album. The first album is an inside joke.
What's the name of the first album?
The name of the first album is The Most Important Thing, which I always enjoyed as like having several different meanings, but the main one is that Will Brewster does this thing. He has this kind of character voice, whatever, where like he'll just be like, the most important thing, and then just like let it die as though he can't remember the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's just an inside joke that stuck. And when it came time to name the album, we like that. I like it because it's both true and tongue-in-cheek. Like it legitimately is. Playing music with our friends is one of the most important things in all of our lives. It's no joke. Like it's super important for our mental health and our sanity, and so it's not a joke, but it's also like we're writing like songs like that are also kind of silly. Like some of our songs are like we have a song on the first album called Psychobabble that makes no sense at all. Like it's clear. Hopefully it's clear that we're serious about like not taking it serious. Like we really do it for fun. So that name kind of came about as like a triple entendre, I guess. But
right. Well, actually, I was telling you all that I was listening to. I was at the gym this morning on the way to the gym, like listening to your album yesterday, and I didn't have enough time to listen to all the tracks on the first album. But because I'm a mental health therapist, I was like, okay, Psychobabble. I was like, let me listen to that one. And if memory serves me correctly, oh no, I'm a very different kind of therapist, so you need not worry. If memory serves me correctly, is Will's mom a therapist?
Believe she is.
Yeah. Who wrote Psychobabble?
That's a fun story we can tell quickly, hopefully. So we have several like honorary pterodactyls, if you will, that are play just different roles in our lives or in the band. And one of them is our good friend Melissa, who has probably spent more hours with the band than anybody else who's not directly related to us. But yeah, she actually came to us with some lyrics, and I don't know how many of those we actually kept.
None.
Okay, so we had the song, and we like, Connor will tell you, we love the bridge to this song. Like that's one of the,
Yeah.
we love it so much, and like so we just needed lyrics for this song, and Melissa was like, I've got lyrics for the song, but she had just gone through a breakup, and the lyrics were real dark, like real dark, and the song is not really that dark. The song's pretty upbeat.
Right.
And so we had those as a placeholder for a little bit, but like Connor was singing them and he did not feel comfortable.
Not at all. There were some lines in there that like felt just really people singing out loud. No offense, Melissa, I love you so much.
He's aware we changed the lyrics.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like it did like give us the melody. So that helped at least. And then we were like, we gotta put something here. We have the melody now. We gotta put something.
Like recorded the song, and we needed to finish writing the words.
And Brian's son Desmond was fairly young at the time, and he had a bunch of boxes for random toys, and we just kind of mixed and matched like a bunch of words from like, yeah, just like patched things together from the back of like toy boxes.
But some of the lyrics were also based on actual events.
Sure.
We had the band, like we had what we called band camp, which was we were recording. We were like finishing up recording stuff. And in the process of recording, it was a huge blizzard. I guess it would have been. It was 2020. It was
20.
What was that? It was like
it might have been January 2020 or like late 2019.
Anyway, we had the blizzard. We were like snowed in, and a friend of ours came over to make beer, and we might have been on some mind-altering substances. And so there's references to that experience of like concocting brews, and but then the other half is like instructions from kids' toys. Yeah, not our proudest songwriting moment in terms of quality of lyrics, but
the bridge is genius.
The bridge is really good. We like the bridge.
Yeah, and we're giving I recognize that we're giving a lot of attention to the first album, and I want to pivot because I want to promote this newest album, but I have to ask because, and it's all, again, part of the reason why it's all kind of like flowing and converging is because I was listening to both of them, and so I can't remember. I guess it would be, was it Your Son? I heard a kid's voice on one of the albums.
Yeah.
Is that Desmond in the first album?
Featured in the
Yeah. Now there's 2 instrumentals on the second album, right? I guess it's mostly, and one of them has someone shouting or something. It's like, but it's mostly an instrumental. Were there any instrumentals on the first album?
Sort of. There was Arpeggiator Alligator, which was just a random jam that we did one time that we really, really liked. And so one of the interludes is just like a little bit of that, like sort of fading in and then fading out. We actually did try to re-record that, but could never quite. It was like lightning in a bottle. We could never quite nail it the way we did the first time. So,
okay.
But yeah.
Cool. So okay. So help me understand the evolution of when you came to create this. The Next Thing I Know. How did you know? How did it develop? Were you just help me understand how it all came together or coalesced? You had like the first album, you told the story of that, right? How did this album come together? How did it shift? Was it just a bunch of songs and it's like, okay, like some of these are not going to make the album. This is the A side, B side. Like, what was your process for coming up with it?
That's a good question.
I've stumped the chump. No,
yeah, no, I think for the most part we were really just like, we were coming off of a high of it, like actually, putting out a finished product, and then just like really wanted to get back to it. And again, things weren't really like completely opened up, so we were as best as we could, we were still like playing together, but we didn't have like shows to like practice for. So like we were just like, let's keep the momentum of writing going at least. So I mean, I will say one of the songs that's on Next Thing I Know, Plink, was at one point was written during the Most Important Thing sessions, I guess you could call them. Yeah, but I like that was a song that like I originally like part of it I had originally written when I was in college, and it was actually the first song that we ever wrote together. If I correct about that, it's either that or Wrong Drugs. Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think Plink was the first one that we actually like put together. And I, for some reason, I was just like really salty about it. I was like, I've been hearing the song in my brain since college and I don't want to do it anymore. So, but they finally convinced me to put it on this one. So, but yeah, I think we were kind of just like trying to keep the momentum going of being like creative and having something original to do. So we were just like really in the mode of just like pumping out like ideas as quickly and as best as we could. Still obviously took 5-6 years to do.
But so you knew that this wasn't just going to be some singles. You knew that it was going to be packaged into an album, a full length.
For sure, yeah. The idea was always to release another album. Like the initial idea was that we were going to do, I don't know how serious we all were about this, but the initial idea was that we were going to do a trilogy of albums. So I still would like to do that. I'm hoping that we're going to get to that.
Yeah, we practiced this past weekend and started working on some new ideas. I think Conor kind of handled the like timing and momentum part, but actual like process wise, most of our songs start as either a jam or a riff that someone brings that we all work out together. Don't think we have any songs really that someone's come to us pretty complete with. A lot of our ideas start from a jam. One of the songs on the new album, Square Peg, is a combination of 3 different songs that we really like the ideas for, and then one of us had the idea to like, let's smush them together, and I think it worked. I don't know.
I was gonna say I could for that track. I could. That makes sense. I wouldn't have guessed 3, but definitely at least 2. And I that was another question of I think this is the case in both albums. Are you ever recording to a click track? Because there's a lot of songs where the tempo, you hold it where it's like, energetically, we don't want to be boxed into a set BPM.
The first album, almost everything was done to a click. And that was to make my life easier and hopefully everyone's life easier, since we were doing, everything by stems. And it's not my favorite. It's definitely its own skill. And it's a good skill for any musician to have, but it's limiting. But it also really forces you to know your song and to be confident in your parts, which I think is helpful. But for the second album, we were excited to be in a studio that could record us all at the same time, because I think a lot of our energy comes from our playing off of each other and our playing with each other.
Your friend. I was about to say your friendship. That's a huge part of it.
All about the friendship. It's about the bonds we make. I mean, that's a lot of the feedback we get from our live shows is, you guys look like you're really having fun. Like I can't help but hear like what they're not saying when they say that. Like I'll take it as a compliment because I know they mean it as a compliment, but like we're way more common to hear like, you guys look like you're really enjoying yourselves up there than we are like, you guys are mega talented. Which like
so technical.
As long as the crowd is enjoying themselves, like as long as that rubs off to some extent, like I don't need to be the most talented person on stage. Like I don't need to be the most talented band in the world. Like we play to have fun. As long as everyone's having fun, like that's a successful show. Like that's our goal.
Yeah. Well, Conor mentioned the trilogy, and Brian, you talked about how The Most Important Thing and The Next Thing I Know, those concepts are they're linked, they're paired, and so the trilogy is possible, right? But
It is. We're not giving anything away yet, but
no, you don't need to. Don't need to. But the next
out three guesses what the third album might be called.
But what does it mean? The title. What's the next thing?
Connor, you want to? This is slightly more embarrassing. It's also an inside joke.
Yep.
Obviously, it's very on the nose. It's the next album. It has the word "thing" in it. It's a continuation of that. But I don't know who started this character. If we stole this character from somebody, but one of our inside joke characters is the guy who's like telling you about like the hot hookup that he had, and so he's like recounting, and he's like, "Next thing I know." Like, and it's like a leading, like, all of a sudden, like, we're hooking up or whatever. And so that's just become the inside joke for the band, among many others. But it also works as an album title and gives it some continuity. But nothing too deep on that one.
Yeah.
Well, what about you all personally? I'm curious. There's 5 band members. And notably, 3 of them are not here. I don't think that's random or accidental. You two, when you do other shows or PR, is it usually you two that are like the spokespeople of the band, or?
I would say that we definitely have the loudest voices on stage, at least. If there's banter, it's usually either myself or Brian. I don't know how or why that happened. I think we just talk louder than other people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. I mean, part like legitimately part of it is scheduling. Will's got a 9 to 5. He can't be here right now. Tony, same. Mike is not awake before 4 often.
To be fair, I think you did tell us you didn't want all 5 of us on the call because it would be chaos. I don't know. Did I make that up, or
did I? You might have made that up, but because I've had episodes with 4 or 5 people and multiple times, and those are very enjoyable. However, people need to know there's a higher likelihood of crosstalk, and that's for the consumer. That's no fun. So
he may have made that up, but it's in 100% accurate. Knowing the 5 of us, like that, just all 5 of us being here just would not have worked.
But you two are here, and I want to ask about you between the most important thing and next thing I know. How have you changed creatively? Just speaking for yourself, you don't have to speak for the band necessarily, but how have you changed creatively as a musician? Personally, if that feels appropriate, however you want to answer that question, I'm very curious.
I personally, I think I've definitely I've taken more of the reins on writing lyrics on this one than I had on the first one. Again, like I mentioned earlier, like when we first started doing like originals, Will had this entire notebook of like ideas and lines and stuff, like, and he still always has like that running, at all times. And so I just like, and he's like a master wordsmith is the thing. Like he's really good at it. But at the same time, like he does have a very like sort of specific style and cadence and that kind of thing, a very familiar cadence. And I personally just wanted to get into like different sounds and that kind of thing, and something that was more tailored to my voice. And so I tried to really like lead that conversation as much as I could on this one. There's actually Sisyphus, the song that we just released, was a really fun project. Like when we first were recording it, because we got all the music together, I had a melody in my head that I just could not figure out any words to. So we recorded it with me just like basically humming the melody or singing the melody. And then Brian took the reins on that one, writing the lyrics. And so that's how that came together. So I think personally, I was thinking a lot more of like melody and lyrical ideas than I did on the first one. That's kind of where I drew my attention.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, Brian.
Playing to our strengths, and just we learned a lot from the first album about how things sound when they're done, and kind of what we want to play to. And Conor definitely has a strong voice that we like wanted to explore and like give him range to, you know, open up. And I think just being like being more confident and being more confident in our own identity too. I think you know, one of the double-edged kind of compliments slash sometimes it's negative feedback from people is that we have a varied catalog of songs. We do not have a specific lane that we're in all the time. We don't have a specific like we have a freaking ska song on our first album.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But you also have by the way, that ska song, is there no trumpet in it? Did I hear that right?
I don't think it's trumpet.
Actually, it's because it's Tony singing.
You have trumpets in every other song, but not the ska song.
I was like, yeah, this is a great song, and I know Tony plays keys and trumpet, and does he play saxophone also, or did I make that up?
No, Andy plays sax.
Andy plays sax.
Stuff.
Only because Conor didn't stick with it. Slacker.
I know.
But we recruited Andy for live stuff at YesFest. Like we've recruited him for some sit-ins for a few songs, and he always crushes it. But I saw
the video.
Right, we need to get him on album number 3 for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. I want a full horn section.
I know. Yeah.
Is there you were saying, you talking about negative feedback. One of my questions is, was there ever a disagreement that you all had creatively where you feel, and maybe just speaking to this album, never, Brian, never. But the question is focused here on was there ever a disagreement creatively where you felt like looking back, that disagreement actually ended up making the song better?
Almost all of them. Yeah. I feel like we landed on the right side. You know, I don't, at least that's how I choose to remember it. But no, we definitely, I mean, we've had, and they're all stupid. They're all like really stupid. Where like the most intense we get, the stupider the thing is that we're arguing about. Like we like literally came so close to almost breaking up the band based on the order to play 2 songs in one set. Like it was just one set, and we could not agree on going into A to B or B to A, and we literally had to flip a coin before we like.
Are these songs on the new album that you were having a kerfuffle?
Those were cover songs. That specific one was
okay.
One of them is on the new album.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar with Atlas by Battles off of Mirrored, but it's like this like awesome 8-minute long like prog journey. But we were like, should we go into Plink from that, or should we go Plink into that? And like 4 hours later, we were like screaming at each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even remember what we landed on. It was great. Like everyone was fine. There hasn't really been. Yeah, I feel like we always work it out. We actually always do work it out, even if it comes down to just agreeing to coin flip. If we really can't. And I think that's kind of freeing too. Like that's what I like about our band setup is like I can be loud and be like, this is what I like. This is what I think it should sound like. I'm going to be really happy if it sounds this way. But then like, if I'm the only one saying that, then I'm like, oh, right. It's a 5-person band. Like,
yeah,
my voice will get in there to some extent. And like, I'll push for my taste when I can. And sometimes the call will go my way and sometimes it won't. But like at the end of the day, it's like it's a 5-person band. It's not my band. It's not.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have had like some of those like arguments, and like it's like especially during like the creative process of like, should it go into this part, should it be this thing first, blah blah blah. But like Brian said, like it's usually something that like we'll argue back and forth about it for like an hour or so, and then,
both ways we'll record it, we'll listen to it.
Yeah, and then somebody eventually will just be like, all right, well, if I'm the only one that thinks this, then like no big deal. The only one that I can really that stands out, the only one that I can think of is that we did have you and I both had an argument about the bridge in Sisyphus, is like how the meter should go, but then like we were just like, fuck it, let's do both. Let's just do both ideas. And
yeah, it's great because it's some variation. You know, it's already a weird timing for the bridge, and like to have that variation on the third one, like it ties the room together. It's great.
Let me ask, how did you? Speaking of Sisyphus, that was the first single. There's a sub question in here, which is what's the next single. But I want to ask, how did you choose Sisyphus to be the first single?
I honestly, I think it's our favorite one. It's like just sort of unanimously our favorite song. Like just sonically and also to play, it's the most fun to play.
Yeah.
Other than Plink, again, because that was written during the sessions for the first album.
Right.
It's the first one that we wrote for this album. So
Oh,
it's kind
really?
yeah. So it's kind of sat with us the longest, and it's like we never get tired of it. We love the sort of like freak out ending where it just speeds up for no reason. Like I think it's and I personally do think that it's a good indication of like the difference between the first album and this album. As Brian said, we like, one of the critiques that's sometimes not so much a critique is that our songs are so varied. They don't stick to necessarily one genre. I do actually think that this second album is a little bit closer in tone and in sonically than the first one is. And I think this is a good like initial indication of like where we're taking the music for the second.
Okay. Very cool. I want to know, you mentioned like not fitting into a lane, but you've had press written up about you all. People have made comparisons. What do you tell people if people have never heard your band and they're like, what do you all sound like? How do you answer that question without using a genre? Because that's not cheating, but like, yeah, how do you naturally answer that question?
I think the first thing that comes out of my mouth is like all indie rock. And I think that's just a nice, like, kind of umbrella that we fall under. And if people want to ask more questions, they can, if that tickles their fancy. This time around, weirdly, the name, what band was it that people said we sounded like from? It wasn't Guster. It was
This is beautiful air right now. Both of us just sitting here trying to think.
I don't know. I think we were, who is it?
Was it Supergrass?
It was Supergrass. Yeah, which I don't really hear. I don't really hear Supergrass in us. But like honestly, we get compared to all sorts of bands because we listen to all those bands, and we
Right.
we're not shy about our influences. I think all comparisons are valid, and again, it's
Totally.
a 5-person band, and we all, I like to just think of our different tastes as like Venn diagrams that overlap. Like Conor and I have an overlap that no one else in the band has, but Conor overlaps with Will in ways that like I don't have, and it's always really fun to kind of stretch and like find those boundaries and like yeah. So I don't know. Our elevator pitch is,
You say indie rock. You say indie rock.
like upbeat, catchy, energetic indie rock. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if people want to tickle their fancy and ask a follow-up question to that, how do you answer it? Like, I'm curious about, and I totally get what you mean in terms of like the Venn diagrams and the layering and this emergent sound, and also there's totally a part of me that's like, don't make me answer your stupid question of fitting into a pre-categorized bucket. Like I totally vibe with that. And also, I remember like if people, again, for folks who've never heard you giving proxies, like, I want to tell you something before this interview. I asked ChatGPT, what should I know about No Pterodactyls? And I was like, what do they sound like? Are you interested in hearing what the AI overlord said about you all?
I would love to, actually.
Let's hear it. Yeah, do your worst.
Okay, you haven't done this yet?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, here's the No Pterodactyls sit in a specific niche, indie rock with punk attitude, prog-ish structure, and a raw DIY feel. So instead of one perfect match, it's more like a Venn diagram of a few better known bands. Here's the clearest way to understand them. The closest comparisons are the Strokes, Arctic Monkeys, Parquet Courts, Idols, Modest Mouse, Queens of the Stone Age. What do you think about how accurate?
Very good, GPT. God, wow, whew, getting hot over here.
How much of that resonates with you, and how much of that do you feel like is horseshit?
We can hear? Is there? I mean, that's incredible. Like, I'm just curious. we do have some press for the first album. I'm just does ChatGPT like can it listen to songs? Can it listen to songs? Or is it just scraping the internet for like what?
Right. It's definitely scraping the internet, and so I'll tell you, like when it says vocal delivery that feels like it's looking for a fight, Connor, I'm looking in your direction. That's from Alt 77. So when you got press November 23rd, that article came out in 2020, premiere of the No Pterodactyls. Something 5. What is it? Anyway, yeah, it gives source articles. York calling discovery no pterodactyls November 29th. Yeah. Anyway,
honestly, that's a great write up. Like that sounds accurate. There's like I don't think I think we've seen those bands. Like we've listened to those bands. And we don't go into the practice and be like, let's make a parquet court song.
Of course.
We absolutely have songs that we have pet names for because they sound like songs.
Yeah, totally.
Golden Moon Lorries off the first album. That song sounds like a Silver Sun pickup song.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we named it Golden Moon Lorries. And so, right. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Well, go ahead, Connor.
All of our working titles are what we think the song currently sounds like. Yeah. There's one, I forget which one it was, but there was one, True Property, that sounded like we thought sounded like real estate. So we called it True Property, like stuff like that. So.
Well, let me ask, so who are your, you can't speak for all 5, but for you two, who are your influences? I can't believe we're an hour and 20 minutes in, and now I'm asking that question. That's just my interviewer critic. What are your influences?
For me, I would say huge fan of Spoon. That's my favorite band of all time. And that definitely comes through in a decent portion of my songwriting. I'm also a massive fan of Brendan Urie, Panic! At the Disco. More for like, I don't think I've written anything that sounds like Panic! At the Disco. I don't think I'm ever going to, but like it's more for like vocal performance.
Who wouldn't let you?
Yeah, no, they definitely wouldn't let me. Yeah, it took a long time for me to convince them to cover a My Chemical Romance song with me, and that was a shining moment for me. But yeah, Gerard Way is on there too. Jack White is on there for sure. Huge fan of Titus Andronicus. Huge fan of Frightened Rabbit. Those are kind of like my big ones.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Connor. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, I think some of my favorite acts to listen to. Some of my kind of top 3. Big Animal Collective fan. Battles. LCD Sound System. My roots go back to like hardcore and screamo stuff. I really like Spastic, like Orchid and The Assistant and Converge, and I like just kind of angular caustic stuff like that. As far as kind of current drummers, Zach Hill, any project he's on, little Death Grips. I think finding ways to like bring that stuff into pop structures is always really challenging and fun. Like I think I tend to think of myself as like pushing things in the weirdest direction out of the 5 of us. And sometimes I have to get reined back in, but I'm usually trying to mess things up.
Okay. That's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing in the creative process. I'm curious, and forgive me if if I ask this question and you feel like you've already answered it. But I'm curious if for either one of you, just in speaking in this project, No Pterodactyls, was there a time when you ever felt like you came close to quitting?
It's not a very interesting answer, but no, I can't. Like, yeah, I couldn't have imagined like a better group to be involved in, honestly. And like before people moved away and our practices got sporadic, it was like that weekly practice, that one like couple of hours every week was like that's what got me through like the rest of the week. That was what I needed, so no, like quitting never ever occurred to me. So
Yeah,
I love that answer. Go ahead, Brian.
I don't think I've ever been like, I want to quit, but I definitely worried about, are we going to be able to keep playing together with everyone moving away? And
Yeah.
you know, not the exact same, but still just as scary. And I think like I said, I can't speak for everyone, but like I know Will's been making a huge effort to come down for practice when he can. I mean, he's got arguably the biggest drive out of all of us. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it would be awesome. Like, it would be awesome to get to a point where we do have momentum and we are like touring and like playing regularly. That would be great. I don't know that any of us are like betting on that. I think all of us are really, you know, grateful to be able to keep playing together. And like, it takes a lot of effort. It just to do the album and just to practice once a month, like takes a lot of effort now with all of us scattered. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as long as we can keep playing YesFest, and you know, Will's not going to stop writing songs, Connor's not going to stop writing songs, I'm probably not going to stop writing lyrics. So we'll always have material, and like, if not, we'll just think of more ridiculous songs to cover and mash up, and we'll just be a cover band again.
Yeah, when you were saying Will's got the longest drive, I was thinking, you know, there's a train that goes from Philly to DC, but with traveling with he would, presumably he's bringing his gear. He's bringing, and that's, you know, not easy to lug around on a train. Is there a lyric that you are fond of from this new album? Is there one of your favorite lyrics, or yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I've got one, and I'm gonna ask Conor to like expound on it. But like the one that's stuck in my head, you know what I'm gonna say, dude. It's maybe you don't. It's not a joke answer. I'm giving you like a serious answer.
Okay.
God, which song is it? It's never mind. It's off the first album. Go ahead. I recently on the way to practice, I listened to the first album again for the first time in a while, and that lyric stuck out to me. It's the "Don't Disappear and Do Yourself" from Planes Collide.
Right.
So Conor, you go if you have one off the new album, while I try to think of one off the second album.
I don't know if there's a specific lyric, but the song "Imposter," I really like, and I'm really proud of. It's a very Blink-182 sounding song, but like legitimately those lyrics like came together for me in the space of like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, fun little story about that is that the song opens up with the lyric, "I wish my parents got divorced." And the first time we ever played that song was at YesFest, while my parents were attending. So that was
not
fun.
Awkward.
Not awkward at all. Not awkward at all. But yeah, it's called "Imposter." The song is called "Imposter" because the whole idea is that is like having both imposter syndrome and depression, and having imposter syndrome because of your depression, because nothing necessarily wrong or bad happened to you in your life that would have caused you to feel this way, and you're like, why? That doesn't make any sense.
Totally.
But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that concept, and like some of the sort of imagery that I had in that song. So that I'm particularly fond of.
And let me just piggyback on that by saying, of all the, lyrically speaking, of everything that I was listening to on the whole album, and again, I listened to it twice in the last 24 hours. That song, those lyrics, I mean, I think they're early in the song, right? I don't even remember if they're like the opening lyrics, but that they are more compelling. Sometimes it's like, maybe other lyrics would be compelling if you could hear them distinctly, and sometimes that's a purposeful, sometimes it's a mix thing or a register thing. But yeah, just to validate what you're saying is, as someone who's, because you all are close to it, right? Like, I remember someone right. somewhere said something like, one of the Pink Floyd members was like, "It's a shame I can't listen to this album like for the first time, you know, because you're in there processing it. You all are so close to it. For me, I'm not. So as a consumer, yeah, that lyrically, that one is compelling. I also have something else to share about the album, just as a consumer. But Brian, go. What do you think in terms of the new album?
I don't know. I like it. I like Imposter's lyrics. I think Conor like did get to kind of, you know, be true to himself and write a song that was important for him. I think in the same way that song for me was "Lick the Salted Wound," and that might fall into a tough to understand the lyrics, which was, you know, valid criticism. But I think that was both one that like I feel like musically represented more of my taste than maybe the rest of the band, and also was a chance for me just to like yell at things that I wanted to yell at, which is always very cathartic. But that was one that kind of came out similarly to Conor, just kind of like fell out of me, and it felt right like as soon as it came out, and I was like, that song's always been there, and like time to get it out. Yeah, I think let's see, what's like the chorus, the second chorus from that, the apple falls from the rotten limb, creating something new from the seed within. The tree doesn't know how the story will end. The seed only takes what the soil will lend. I like that. Like that fucking fell out of me. I don't know where that came from. And like it sounds cool, and it's like gives you a lot to think about. I don't know.
Agreed. And there's something to say. I meant to say it after Conor shared, but it's you're both hitting on it. You know what it's like to be a creative and to have a process of giving birth to a song, especially as a 5-piece, and it's a collaborative process. But you know what it's like to have a song that just seems to download way quicker than the others. And the ones that come in quicker, it's interesting about like how they're different, or how you feel about them, or how other people who listen to what you're offering respond to the one that came in quicker. You know, I don't that's been my observation, is like when something comes kind of fully cooked already and there's not much like fleshing out, that tends to be the one that like resonates with the audience. And yeah, I mean, we talked about Queens of the Stone Age earlier from the ChatGPT, but like they have a song, the No One Knows song, and if I'm getting it correct, I may be getting it wrong, but I think that song is said to be the no one knows where songs come from. No one knows where this creative stuff comes from. And I don't mean to veer too deep, but yeah, this is a show that, you know, I said I'm a therapist, and I said I'm a different kind of therapist. I'm the kind of therapist that you don't need psychedelics to have a psychedelic journey and like transform and heal. And so I very much go off the deep end, and I won't tell you the alternative titles to the podcast name of the show that I would have had, because they're too embarrassing. But to get really deep here for just a second, have you ever hypothesized or theorized about where this shit comes from? No one knows, but what do you think? Have you given it any thought?
I do. I think I mean, I don't know how much validity or truth necessarily I would assign to it, but I do. I've always felt that there are songs or melodies, or you know, that are pulled from the ether, that have always been there, and that are, you know, are more discovered than created. And I think if I'm trying to explain why it feels like that, I think that's a byproduct of how human brains work, and I think that's a byproduct of familiarity and you know, whatever expectations we might be bringing to a song and stuff. I don't think that makes it any less special when it happens. But I mean, I think there's so much of music that is based on reference and based on, you know, community and your expectations of what music can be and stuff. So I think, yeah, I don't know if I actually truly believe that there are, you know, celestial musicians handing down these songs to us or whatever.
Yes.
I'm open to it, but I think really it's such a fundamental feeling to recognize patterns in sound, and you know, I think we kind of reward ourselves for finding those patterns. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Brian. How about you, Connor?
Yeah, I wish I knew, you know. It would be a hell of a lot easier to put out a product if it was something that, you know, I had an answer for. I think to I don't know, I kind of agree with what Brian's saying, that like there are some songs that just exist, but then and you just happen to be right place, right time, feeling like the right energy, and it's like either sitting within you or sitting somewhere in the ether around you, that you just like you get to reach up and pluck that. And I think some of them, it's almost like a nature versus nurture kind of thing. Like some of them you really have to like work hard on, and really like put in the time and the effort, and like sort of like almost like plant the seed, and you know, like go through the whole growing process. And I think it's interesting which ones, like you were saying, I think it's interesting which ones are the ones that like really take off, whether or not it's the ones that you put all this effort into, or if it's just the one that literally just like fell out of your brain in a matter of minutes, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's other
my stories like that.
Yeah. There's other creatives that talk about, like, authors talk about how their stories come to them. And there's this Elizabeth Gilbert is the author of she's known for like Eat, Pray, Love. I can't remember what else she's but that's she was on a podcast called The Telepathy Tapes, and talking about how that a story came to her, and she felt as if it was like, I'm the mom of this story. It's coming to me, and it's being asked to be born through me. And I'm like developing it halfway, and then I'm like aborting the baby. And so someone else picked up that baby and wrote the rest of the story. And that other person was in a different city, different culture. Like they like were at a conference together or whatever. And it's a very interesting thing, because like she's saying, this isn't just like a coincidence. She was saying very specifically, like, this is the character, this is their backstory, this is the plot, these are the twists. And it was exactly one-to-one everything. And this, you have to have some magical thinking here, I grant you that. But they were like, when they met the other person who finished the story at the whatever conference they were at, she like kissed her on the cheek or whatever. And she believes like that's when it was like, yeah, I'm not in love with you. I'm not going to finish you. And the other author finished her. Now, now again, I mentioned how the kind of work I do is psychedelic adjacent. So you don't have to take exogenous psychedelics to have a psychedelic experience. You can induce trance states, various levels of trance states. And the trance state that I bring clients into, it's not how you would conceptualize beliefs the way that you would in a cognitive behavioral therapy framework, which is of course like the gold standard in the military, CBT. Everyone's CBT is evidence-based. It's got the most evidence, insurance-backed, and all this stuff. But the kind of work that I do, it conceptualizes a belief as a being, not as a metaphor, as a fully anthropomorphized, agentic, conscious being. The belief is a being. And from there, you could extrapolate. And again, you hold all of this lightly. Your skepticism and doubt is very welcome and would make sense. But that if you conceptualize a song as if it's a being, people talk about the muse. They talk about how like, and that's just one word for it, but like, yeah, a lot of musicians will talk about how they're driving and the song idea comes to them, and they will. I think I don't remember if it was like Tom York from Radiohead. I could be getting it wrong. Some other guy, but they tell the story like they will say out loud while they're driving, like, "Can't you see I'm driving? I can't help you right now. Like, don't come to me later." So the ether, another dimension, whatever you want to think about. I know it's crazy, but it's quite magical to think about how we bring these things from a non-physical realm, the imagination or the creative space. We honor them and we give birth to them, and then we share them with our fellow physical human beings. It's amazing. And I just wanted to ask you all that question. I had to. It was dangling there right in front of me. The being gave that to me. Okay, so the question that I kind of planted earlier and wanted to come back to was, a second single. Do you have plans to release a second single? You don't have to tell me what it is, but do you have plans to release a second one?
Yeah, we do. We have 3 more singles that we're going to release out over the next few weeks until the album comes out. That was, after research, after figuring out, that was one thing we learned from the first album, which we didn't do. The current wisdom is to waterfall your releases. And that just means, you release singles 3 or 4 weeks apart from each other, building up to the album. And then you release those singles again as part of the album. So, our DIY ethic, which reads, "We have no money. What can we do? What can we do for free or for very cheap to give our album as much exposure, increase our chances of playing shows outside of our home cities and stuff like that?" So Fake IDs will be our next single. Comes out April 3rd, I think, a week from this Friday. I think Fake IDs is that's one that I wrote. That was another one that also kind of fell out of me. And I'd always wanted to write a love song to being a teenage music fan and being a MapQuest music fan and being a suburban kid who had to drive at least 2 hours to go to a punk show. And that's what that song is about. Hopefully it didn't barely translate, because when Conor first read the lyrics, he was like, "You're 36, dude. Like, what are you doing writing a song called Fake IDs?" And I'm like,
that's on Conor.
That was part of a different conversation, though, to be fair. It was because one of our other songs, you were like, you didn't connect to another one that I'd written. You were like, "Well, it's been a long time since I've been in like a bad relationship," and I was like, "Yeah, it's been a long time since you've used a fake ID."
So yeah, it's a high energy. Like, we thought it was a fun way to kick off the album. We use it to open shows a lot of times because it's just got a fun intro, and it's like super high energy. It kind of kicks you in the face when it comes on. And yeah, hopefully it's relatable. I think a lot of people in my generation can remember, getting lost going to a show and like not knowing if you're gonna make it home because you've got high school the next morning or whatever. But yeah, our idea, we want to make a music video for this one with like my son and a couple of our other friends' kids, like using like crayon made fake IDs to like get into a No Pterodactyl show. And yeah, we'll see if that
pans.
That's a cool idea. So there's 2. So Fake IDs would be the next single to release very shortly. This episode that we're recording this on a Wednesday, but this episode will come out this coming Sunday. Are you allowed to say what the 3rd and 4th singles are?
I think so. Yeah, we didn't sign like a
NDA.
NDA. It's just us. There's no entity. There's no body above us. Yeah. So the 3rd one will be Square Peg, which Conor, you want to give a little blurb on?
Square Peg. That is a song, another mental health song about just it's interesting because the chorus is I can't make you different, which for a long time pretty much everybody in the band thought I was, again, like talking to some girl or something like that, but no, it's like a conversation between myself as a person and my weird lizard brain.
That's right.
And like what am I dealing with, that kind of thing. So it's a back and forth conversation between the anxiety brain and the rational brain kind of thing. So yeah, it's cool. It's compared to the first 2 singles, it's definitely a lot lighter. It's a little bit more like upbeat and
what did we used to call that song? What was the secret project name for that song?
Takers, I think.
Because it sounds like a
Givers song.
Are you on a game show right now? You win. Newlyweds.
This is how we talk, actually. This is just legitimately how we talk to each other. We quiz each other.
Yeah.
Yep. Constantly.
Well, this is a great treat to share with listeners and the behind the scenes process. I love it. I also, by the way, this is one of my favorite ways of discovering new music is conversations like this. I will have to go back to the section where you were giving me all of the influences, being like, okay, go on Spotify and listen to these influences, you know? So, okay. So the third one's Square Peg. Was there more that you wanted to share about that, Connor?
No, I mean, I think that's, I think it does sort of speak for itself when it shows up. And again, that's the one we were talking about earlier that were 3 different ideas that we then mashed together. So that one's pretty exciting.
One of the outliers sonically on the album. I mean, I think that song definitely stands out as a different sound. But like a sound that we're very comfortable, like that, again, that song came out of like 3 or 4 different jams that like Connor and I, that's a big Venn overlap for us. Like we would live in that space all day if we could.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. What's the 4th one?
Imposter will be the 4th one. Yeah, which we've already talked about a lot, but I feel like we picked it as the 4th. The kind of strategy was best foot forward. Sisyphus is our favorite song, and then high energy lead track, and then 3rd one, show some range, switch it up a little bit, and then the 4th one is kind of back like high impact, like in your face. Because I think high energy is like what we kind of identify as, even though maybe not all of our songs
right
are exactly that.
Well, then that makes sense, because I was good. First of all, actually, just to say, I think fake IDs is, when you structure an album and get the songs in the order, a lot of that is like what's going to be a great experience for the listener, live or otherwise. And so, like, if the set list is written where it's like, hey, we want to open with fake IDs, like, why not make that the track, the album opener? But pick just what you just said about your identity as high energy. And choosing strategically, what are the songs that we want to represent? If someone's not going to listen to the whole album, what do we want to highlight and showcase to really represent ourselves as a musical group and identity? That all makes sense. I want to share with you the one again, because I'm not close to it. So as a listener, on the first listen, my favorite song was track 3, "No" as a verb. High and above. No disrespect. High and above all of the other ones. Now, I also hate myself for this reality, which is when I listen to something the first time, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. And then I like listen to it the second time and I'm like, this fucking rules. How come I couldn't see that the first time? Like, I hate that reality, but I experience that all the time. And so that's why I knew I had to listen to the album 2 full times. But "No" as a verb, that one was like, there was no question. I was like, there is not just a there. This one's really, really good. And then on the second listen, I was like, fucking, this one better be one of their singles. So
it
here we are, though.
It got considered. I voted for it, even though Connor, I previously complained about that song to Connor, and then later I was like, no, it should be one of the singles. And Connor was like, what the hell?
It's very catchy. But this is the thing. This is the thing about taste. For me and my taste, it's very, very catchy. But that contrasts with what you were saying as a musical identity, and like who you guys are and what you want your fans to, appreciate and enjoy. So is there any, but we're low on time. Is there any question that I should have asked you that I didn't? Or I feel like I don't want to do a lightning round thing, but I want to ask you maybe here, I'm answering my own question. What's something that people don't know about you all? What's something that you can answer? You've done interviews, you've been on press, even your friends, even your wife. Like, what's something that no one knows about you that you feel comfortable sharing on air? It can be as random as you want. Usually the first thing that comes to mind is the best, by the way.
Oh man, yeah.
No. Like as a band, I mean, I don't think it would shock anybody that we're huge nerds, and like if you saw us just like out and about, you would be like, who's like, these guys lost their wives, like why are they wandering around a Walmart? Like I just feel like we're like we're pretty open books. I don't know. I feel like we pretty much don't have any secrets. I don't know. Or we're pretty openly nerdy and dumb and in it for the laughs. But I don't know. It's a terrible answer. I'm sorry.
We all have webbed toes that interlock perfectly, which is how we decided to become bandmates. Is that we could fit our toes together in a perfect circle,
as was prophesized, obviously.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, gentlemen, Brian Jones, Conor Provost. Am I saying your names correctly? That's something that I should ask before on the green room thing. How am I pronouncing your names correctly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's great to have you guys. Thanks for coming on. And the new album, Next Thing I Know, is out May. What's the date?
May 22nd.
May 22nd. So go support these guys and their band. And any show dates on the calendar yet?
No, we're gonna keep an eye out for an album release show, hopefully in April or May, potentially at Evening Star. But website's nopterodactyls.com. You can sign up for our mailing list and stay up to date.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much.